The Young Israel congregation, serving the communities of Bal Harbor, Bay Harbor Islands, Indian Creek, and Surfside, is celebrating its Chai year. Yes, it's been 18 years since the founding of our shul. It's time to take a step back and thank God for His guidance throughout the entire process. Let's start at the beginning. The Young Israel was founded in March 1999. 10 members gave the seed money of $500 each.
I met Alan Schloss and Bernie Lack in the Mogen David Synagogue. That shul was a shtibel. We kind of all realized at the same time that this shul is too small to accommodate all the people that were there now. I called Young Israel of New York, and they connected me to Rabbi Aaron Tershwell.
And Bernie and Alan and Steve and Rabbi Tershwell were sitting in my living room. They were talking about starting a Young Israel. Rabbi Tershwell asked them, what do you foresee in the amount of people? And all three of them said, we see close to 300 to 400 families. Rabbi Tershwell just was taken aback.
I had owned a flower shop that had been in Surfside for a gazillion years. One day, there were three gentlemen individually who kept coming by to talk to me. They were interested in starting a new synagogue here in Surfside.
I remember Rabbi Casper was the original rabbi. In the wintertime, he called up and he said, we're getting ready to start. It's going to be next Shabbos. So Joel and I asked what was necessary. He said, we need an Aron Kodesh, we need a Shulchan.
Joel helped me load it into the truck, Coronado Hotel. And Bernie had made arrangements for us to rent the basement there. And that Shabbat, we had a shul. We had a Parshat Shavua class, and my #1 student was Miriam Weinschneider. It was a very nice group, and as I said, they really enriched my life. And it lasted for about a year and a half.
We moved in here in 1989 from North Woodmere in the 5 towns. Talk was to start another shul, a modern Orthodox shul. Bernie Lack, and he had a lot of chutzpah, just push his way through. Without him, I don't know if it would have happened.
We had the schus to be at the very first minyan of the Young Israel.
Joel and Deborah's children and our children in this little space.
And this gave our son an opportunity to finish up the service. We saw them grow up in the Young Israel. We had our son's bar mitzvah above the bank, 4 daughters bat mitzvah above the bank as well.
The lady in the Coronado Hotel, we first moved in, the rent was about $1,000. After 5 months, she wanted $3,000. Then she wanted about $5,000. 3 tri-presidents was Alan Schloss, David Kwiat, and myself. My main function was to take care of the kiddushes.
Rabbi Casper, of course, would go ahead and okay all of the food things that we use. But Leo and I belonged to BJ's and we belonged to Costco, and we would go between pillar and post trying to get products that were, of course, kosher.
We did the kiddushes for the first 5 years.
So I came to the community around 15 years ago. Originally, it was really part-time, just really in its infancy stages. A great honor and a privilege to serve this community. I think impacting upon people is really one person, one family at a time.
We had something called a proba just about every week. I remember going with Sam Eltis and my brother Joel Sussman, and we went to the yeshiva, and we met Rabbi Gruenstein. We had the great schus that Rabbi and Rebbetzin Gruenstein decided that they would like to consider our Young Israel.
It was the perfect Rav for our shul, and continues to be. We were lucky to have someone of his caliber as the Rav of our shul.
Very close to Rebbetzin Gruenstein because we were co-teachers at Torah Semeth, and I enjoyed it so much, and I learned a lot from her.
I must say, right from the beginning, Rabbi G and Rena just welcomed us with open arms. The guidance and leadership of Rabbi G and Rena and their family, they open their house always.
We have really a nucleus of very talented, capable lay people surrounded with people who are so dedicated.
I was president of Community Synagogue of Monsey. I was vice chairman of Yeshiva University High Schools,
and I'm still the chairman of the Board of Governors and the American Committee of Shaare Zedek Hospital. But I must say that being president of this Young Israel is probably one of the most satisfying jobs I've had.
My family has been involved with Young Israel for as long as I can remember. We're just comfortable in a Young Israel setting. I've been able to be on the board of Young Israel now for the last 5 or 6 years. I do head the Scholar in Residence program, which brings scholars here for Shabbaton.
From very ultra-Orthodox to modern Orthodox.
And I volunteered to do the high holiday seating. It wasn't much longer after that I was asked to become president. It was a very exciting time, mostly focused on the operations of the shul. We had a plan for the transition over here. I'm now serving on the board. I'm helping in a number of capacities there.
I was 25 when I was first president. We did not have a full-time secretary in our shul. I would practice law during the day, and then at night, during the busy season, stuffing envelopes for shul dinners.
Anita and I moved into Surfside over 20 years ago, and we dived into Coronado as soon as we moved into the neighborhood. I've gotten involved with many issues with the synagogue in reference to purchasing food and merchandise, et cetera, and I'm very happy that I am able to do it for the shul. I feel that commitment is a very, very important thing in a synagogue because nothing really materializes if you don't have commitment from your members.
I enjoyed being on the board. I was with Morris Kaplan. We were dual presidency.
Several years ago elected to the board. I have been very much involved. I am a vice president. I have several lawyers in the synagogue, 2 of us on the board who from time to time are called on to look at legal issues.
There was something a little more Hamish about Young Israel. The role that I saw myself in as president, one was to help assist with trying to get the new building built, was to enhance its children's program.
When I was president, we had 90 families. We have a great community. We have great honorees, Mayor and Batya, Reuven and Iris. They're the future of our community as well.
We instituted a Shavuos night program, the Motzei Shabbos Father and Child program. We have our lecture series on Wednesday nights. We had a special Shabbos dedicated to child safety.
Officially, the program that I run is the Rosh Chodesh Lunch and Learn. It's a program for women only, and we do it once a month. We found out what NCSY is really about, and it's been a tremendous impact. It's caused tremendous impact on our family. Most of our kids are involved.
At first, when we moved here, I was really upset because I thought there was nothing going on here, especially next to the Upper West Side of New York. Started doing community dinners, and we started the book club.
Rose, to her credit, is like the unofficial mayor of Bal Harbor. If she sees anyone that is not that is new, she'll walk over and ask them, and they appreciate it.
Right from the beginning, I started giving lectures on current events. I immediately helped with sisterhood luncheons, the Shabbatones, the dinners. Molly has just brought so many new programs for the young families. We depend on the young families. That's going to keep the Young Israel alive.
The Shabbatones needed help. Some Friday night dinners needed help. The Young Israel dinner, which was also very, very lovely.
I think they're good programs. We had a really good program with 80 people, which I was part of and very proud to be.
And speaking about programs, the Young Israel has celebrated Purim by sending out Shalach Manos and sponsoring a Purim Suda, which is enjoyed by all.
With Rabbi Fried as the youth director, children's programming is amazingly successful.
My kids are super comfortable here with the programming with Rabbi Fried.
So when I came from Miami Beach, I didn't know anything about Surfside. I didn't know anything about Bal Harbor. There was like one community here. I remember the first time that I came to the old shul on top of the bank and saw the little classrooms. Going through the kitchen and one door to the other door and one you can hear through in the shul. Doubled our numbers here in the new building.
Soon after we moved in, I was responsible for the Kiddush. I and someone else would be schlepping tables back and forth for Shal Shudas, for the Kiddush. We had so many people. Now that we moved here, it's a wonderful experience because it makes it so much easier.
The Kiddushes are very, very important for the show. So I pray to God a lot of times that He'll send somebody over
for me to get a volunteer to do the Kiddush. If anybody's interested in giving a Kiddush, I wish they would call me at 305-866-0852.
The idea of having a permanent new home for the Young Israel started in 2006 with the formation of a building committee headed by Jack Gluck.
We were leasing month to month from the bank. The bank was sold to another bank, told us that we may have to move out, and they really didn't want the liability of gathering place for a synagogue in their offices. We realized that we had to find our own place. Thanks to Max Deckelbaum, we found a piece of land. The story of the building is a story that I could write a book, probably many volumes. The situations with the town, with the zoning and the codes, we finally had to take legal action against the town. We also had to worry about how we were going to pay for it. When I look back at the process, I could see that God was by our side throughout. I, along with some great members of our committee, Mars Kaplan and Israel Kopel and Joey Senker, Menno Ratzker and Max. At that time, our budget was $7.5 million for the building, $1.5 million for the land. We were at $9 million, which slowly grew to $10 million, and then eventually to 12 and 13 million. People said to me, Jack, you know, you got to be crazy to think that you could raise that kind of money. I always thought that God puts us here to take the first step, and once we take the first step, He'll help us along, and that's exactly what happened.
A groundbreaking ceremony followed in March 2013. The move to our new building at 9580 Abbott Avenue occurred after the Chagim in the fall of 2015 and was celebrated with a Chanukah Habayit on December 6, 2015.
The shul was constructed, and the architect is very talented, Jaime Shapiro. I thought his colors were amazing. All of the work that you see in the shul, the woodwork and the fabrics, all came from Israel. Stained glass that Jeremy did is gorgeous.
Let me first say that the synagogue itself is an architectural jewel. The whole space breathes in a very sort of spiritual space. We have the windows around with a certain color theme, which are coming together with those deeper dark blues and greens at the front. And the stained glass around it is a general atmosphere to bring our attention to the main focus of the tefillah, which is the Aron.
Our new shul, the acoustics are fantastic.
I just love to come here. I love to daven here. I love to look around, and I never get tired of this facility.
I'm very, very proud of the shul. I'm very happy to be a member of the synagogue.
It's kind of impossible to be inside this building and not smile.
There's been an influx of new, young couples without children just starting out.
We're excited about the future of the Young Israel.
The shul makes you feel that it encompasses you with the color and with the way things feel. It's very easy to see God watching you through the...
What he said was, we now have reached a new point where we have more strollers for children than we have wheelchairs. And I think it's a reflection on the way the shul is growing.
We've grown in from a little synagogue to this magnificent edifice.
We already have that reputation to Bal Harbor because of the beautiful shul that we have and the wonderful rabbi that we have. People are talking about us all over America and South America too.
When we came in here finally for the first time, there was a feeling, there was a spiritual uplift. I know specifically of cases where people said, you know what, I've been in different shuls, but in your shul I really feel welcome. The members that we have are just the most wonderful group of people that coalesce with each other, that love each other, to find good in everything.
So I'm working here for 4.5 years. The office
there was like a little cubicle. Once we moved, it was a whole different ball game. Right away, I started renting the social hall, and it contributed a lot to the financial growth of the shul. There's some kind of a special atmosphere here. People feel it. They feel the community sense. They feel the kedusha. They feel the togetherness, and I think that's amazing.
Amenities such as beautiful beachfront properties, the Bal Harbour luxury shops and boutiques, and an array of kosher restaurants and a bakery and a grocery, all conveniently located, have helped to create a surge of growth in our community. And due to highly desirable weather in Florida, nearly every single day is an outdoor-friendly day, which is a priceless intangible.
So I served 9 years on the council. Last 2 years, I was the mayor of Bal Harbour. The Jewish community, of course, has expanded 2 or 3 times. Political career, I was able to look at some of the deeds were in effect. And in every deed in the village of Bal Harbour, it says, no Jews, no Syrians, and no blacks. No longer effect.
I'm the mayor of Bal Harbour, Florida. I've been the mayor since November. I've been living in the community for 10 years with my wife and 4 beautiful girls. We've had the opportunity to come to Young Israel many times.
Been the witness of what has been a tremendous growth and resurgence here of the Jewish community.
As an observant Jew, this community is really one of the best communities in the entire country to live in. And we have all the best kosher restaurants here. We have synagogues to choose from galore, whether you're Ashkenaz, Sephardic, Modern Orthodox, Chabad. Through the early to mid-'80s, Jews weren't even allowed to live in this community. And now not only are Jews allowed, Jews are flourishing in this community. We have our 70th anniversary for the village of Bal Harbour, and there's going to be kosher food at that event.
I think one of the main things the rabbi touched upon when we had the dedication of this facility a little more than a year ago, when he said, don't forget where we came from. And that applies to me as a Holocaust survivor.
Bernie Lack was the driving force in us becoming a Young Israel, and I think that he's looking down with great satisfaction at what we have accomplished.
Well, there you have it. 18 years of history, and what an accomplishment. Let's raise our glasses and give a toast. L'chaim, to life!